on the beach again. Sorry if I'm shouting, I've got a mouse on my mic. I don't know if it's going to pick up because it is blowing. It's blowing northeasterly, more northerly in the blow itself, and the water here is coloured up like chocolate. This time of year, that is what you want. We're just coming into March, and I took a walk from Aldeburgh up to Orford Ness, up to a place called the Dirty Wall. We're not actually on the Ness itself. The Ness itself is a little bit further on, but I've walked around about 45 minutes up here to an area I like to call the Aerials. Why have I walked up here? Well, we've got a building tide, the water's chocolatey, the weather's lumpy, cod have been coming out in Clacton and Lowestoft, that's either side of us, and the water here is a lot deeper than anywhere else you'll normally find on the Suffolk coast, and this is a renowned cod hotspot. In years gone by, this was one of the top places in the country to come and catch cod. I myself have had some good hits of cod here in the past. Obviously since then the codling have disappeared, they moved on, but for some reason this year it appears that some shoals have moved back inshore quite early, and you know, who knows, like I say, I've come here to see if I can get out a cod. The water's chocolatey. The thing with this place is it's either absolutely amazing or it's absolutely dead. There's normally no two ways in between. You can come up here, sit up here all day, all night, not catch a thing, or you can come up here, the minute you get here and you cast out, bam, bam, bam. And like I say, this is what I call Suffolks Chesil Beach. It's a long shingle spit that runs all the way from Aldeburgh out into the deeper water, curves around towards Orford Ness, into Orford Ness, sorry. And the species you can get here, you never know what's going to turn up. You know, I've seen everything here from cod, big bass, spurdogs, lots of hounds in the summer, rays. I've lost a blonde ray here in the past, and that's the only blonde ray I've ever heard of someone being able to sort of even see it on the beach in Suffolk. I had it right on the surfing close. You can see it was a blonde ray. This was a few years back, and then the hook pulled as I was about to land it. So as you can imagine, devastated about that. Summer species here, you get gurnards, you can pick mackerel up here on the right sides. It is a fantastic venue. Now, like I say, it's just a case now of what we can catch. I'm here on the flood tide. I'm about 3 hours into the flood tide. I'm going to fish it up over the top and down the ebb, because the ebb here is normally the most productive. The ebb here will normally outfish, you know, any tide, any state of tide on this place. Like I say, I've fished here before, flood tide dead, switches over, half an hour into the ebb, bam, fish, 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 fish. But the thing here as well, that's the tide will pull like a train. Even though it's a building tide, which means we've gone from the neap tide, we're now moving in towards more of a spring tide. It's in between, it's a bit more higher up in the building tide ranges. That means there will be some tide pull here, but that is what we want for fish. So, my rod's out, I'm set up. Let's see if we can get anything, you know. I'd love a cod, but anything from here today. You know, it might be some woofers, there might be some baby smooth hounds. Rays I don't think are going to be a go today because of the way the lumpy the water is and the chocolateness of the water, but we'll see, we'll see. So this is Addicted to Angling on the Dirty Wall at Aldeburgh. Let's see if we can get a fish. Right, so there we have it. Today, single rod again. I'm using 80-pound braid straight through to a 2-hook pulley pennel. I'm on a pennel today, 3/0 hooks on both pennels, basically because I'm all out war today. I want to fish, you know, I want a half decent fish. Not here for whiting. If there's any codling about, I want to see if I can get a cod. Now what you can see on the tip at the minute moving about, that is literally just the tide settlings. I've just put the rod out, it's got a 7-ounce lead on it. At some point that will settle. See, that's just bouncing along on the bottom of the sea until it settles. There is a bit of a loop of a boa line out there. That is literally just the lead moving, that's all that is. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's lovely weather, like I say. The only problem is it's blowing slightly cold northerly, northeasterly, so there is that lump on the water. I think it's windward tide at the minute, so it is going to obviously move it around. That's not a fish, that's still the lead finding itself on the bottom. It will settle in a minute. It's just a case of moving around until it actually digs in. There's obviously a little bit of tide run out there. That will slacken off at some point and we will be fishing a lot more efficiently. So yeah, we'll see. When I do get a fish today, once that lead's settled, it's going to be a case of a slack liner, I reckon, if I see any type of bite, because there's going to be a lot of tension between that braid and that weight. But yeah, let's crack on. Let's see what we can do. Absolutely love it up here. Oh, Sammy's about. Got a seal just swam straight into my braid. He's now gone off. That tip went right over. That's a good sign though. Seals only go where there's fish at the end of the day. If there's no seals, there's no fish. Seals will go where the food is. So hopefully he will disappear at some point, and if there is any fish down there, they will find my bait. But yeah, let's crack on. Let's see what we can do. I'll show you a little bit around where I'm fishing in a little while. Well, I've only been here about half an hour now. It seems to be settling down already, you know. I think the tides, when I turned up, I think that tide was in probably the most powerful stage of the tide. It slowed right off, settled down nicely. The rod tip is sitting absolutely lovely. It's just moving with the waves. There's no bouncing out, there's no tripping out. If I get a fish, like I say, I'm pretty sure it's just going to slacken off and I'll just see that line hit the floor. But I'm fishing with whole squid today, like I say, on a pulley pennel. This is the rig I'm using. I've got 80-pound rig body to Gemini splashdown, 7-ounce lead, 2 3/0 hooks, Seaglow Cato 3/0s, and 20-pound snood. Now, hooks I'm using, Catos. These are 3/0s and they are absolutely sharp as you like and strong as you like. Seaglow, a company is probably, you've probably seen it on Facebook, you've probably seen it on the internet as well. Owned by a good mate of mine, Michael West. I've been speaking to him for a lot of years. Used these stuff quite a long time. Those are the Cato hooks. Like I say, they are strong as you like. They are absolutely perfect for cod, rays, etc, etc. And super sharp, like I say. Now, bait wise, today, whole squid. That's all I'm using. Now, I did just have a little bit of a look around, see if I could get some crab. To me, it's still a bit too early to be using crab on the east coast, but it's always an advantage, and if the fish are there, they will take it. Couldn't find any crab, couldn't even find any frozen, so whole squid it is. Squid, I was watching Wayne Hand's video the other day, Shore Hunter, and he made a comment on there, and he said if he could fish with any bait, one bait for the rest of his life, without any others, it would be squid. Everything takes squid. And do you know what? That is probably the most sensible comment well, one of the most sensible comments I've heard about sea fishing bait in a long time. You know, a long time. Squid is versatile. Everything will take squid. You know, from the smallest strips for your tiny little LRF'ing, all the way up to your whole squid. Fishing for your rays, your congers, your cod, your bass. You know, I will always try and have squid in my arsenal if I go out. Don't get me wrong, give it a month or so, it'll be a few weeks where it is literally just peeler. Costs money, don't get me wrong, but you have to spend the money on the crab if you want to get the fish, because the fish will turn onto that crab. And sometimes it is, you can be fishing next to someone who's got crab, and you'll catch fish, don't get me wrong. You will catch fish, but crab will outfish every other bait for a little while. Once that scent gets in the water for them crab and they start peeling, those fish absolutely get on it, you know. Hounds, yes, hounds will take a lot of baits. Hounds like your rag, you know, your squid, etc, etc. But when that crab's in, you know, and them hounds come in and they're feeding on that crab, you can have some mental sessions. I'm hoping this year, well, obviously I don't think I've ever filmed when the hounds have been in. I think years ago when I was filming, the hounds never really hit our coast. But now I'm filming again, the hounds come in, they're very prolific here between sort of May to August, September time. I'm going to try and get some good sessions. I know where to hit, you know, I know what tides to hit them on. So we'll see if we can get a Suffolk double hound for you. But that is my rig. Like I say, whole squid, pulley pennel, 2 3/0s, 7-ounce lead. I'm having to use 7-ounce today mainly just because of that lump, you know. I wanted to hold in, plus I'm using braid. There's no stretching braid, so you hit it out, you tighten up to it. I do leave a bow in the line, but with mono you've got a little bit of stretch, but I just prefer braid, you know. When I'm fishing bigger baits, I do prefer braid. So I keep looking, I'm just watching that tip, seeing what it's doing. It's just rolling around with the surfing time of it. But yeah, that is my rig. Hopefully it will get a fish. I'm going to leave it in. Like I say, it's a bit lumpy, it's chocolatey. It's all about scent today. I'm leaving it in probably half an hour a cast, 25 minutes a cast, because when the water is this chocolatey, it is all about scent, you know. Scent is the key when it's like this, because the fish, they're not going to be hunting on sight, they're not going to see that bait, they're just going to be homing into the smell of it carrying down the tide. But I'm going to get this ready to be cast out again, because I'll be doing another cast in a minute, and I'll come back to you soon. Let's get you a little look-see around as to where I'm fishing. Right, that down there in the distance is aldeburgh on the Suffolk coast. Now you park up there, you have to walk up here at low tide because it's National Trust land, so you're not walking on their land. But this is Suffolks Chesil. This is the dirty wall. That there is part of Orford Nest. That is a World War II testing facility. Secret hush hush, secret squirrel type stuff. That is what I call the aerials. That is, I think it's a secret or a radar testing facility. And then you go down here, and where that curves around to the right, you then got Orford Nest, which is another famous area. But this is an absolutely fantastic venue, and look at that sea. Look at it, chocolate as you like, not as rough as you know as it could be, but that sea is chocolate. If the fish are here, they're going to come in at some point on the tide. Don't get me wrong, I reckon we'll see some doggies at some point. Wind's meant to dry off probably around, drop off probably around about 7 o'clock, and you know, we'll see what happens once that wind drops off. You never know, you do never know. Like I say, I've had some good hits of fish up here. It does fish well in this sort of weather, but we will see. We will see. Right, anyway, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to have something to eat because I'm absolutely starving, and I will come back to you in a little while. Well, we're around about 4 hours up now. 4 hours up towards high tide, 2 hours left of the flood tide. Tide runs drop right off. You know, it is still there is a little bit there, but it's not tripping me out, it's not dragging me through. I'm just waiting for that rod tip to absolutely drop and go slack. I think that is going to be the order of the day, but so far baits are coming back completely untouched, which isn't a good sign. There's no whiting about, haven't had a doggy yet either. I'm just hoping, like I say, the ebb starts and the ebb starts running through and it turns on, but we'll see. We will see what happens, you never know. I mean, if you look at that now and you look at that sky, you'd think it looked blooming lovely, but it is absolutely freezing. Wind chill must be down to about 2 degrees, I reckon. It's not the warmest of conditions, but if you want these fish, you got to come out in these conditions and actually try and get them. That's the thing, you know. You've got to put the effort in, you've got to put the effort in to try and get these fish. If I blank today, I'll blank, you know, it is what it is. At the minute, I would be happy just with a dogfish, just to keep me interested and keep me excited as to what's happening. Because like I say, I've only been, I've been here what, a couple of hours so far, and baits are untouched and no fish, but the ebb tide is the one here, it really is. So we'll see what happens once this hits high. I'll probably fish it, what are we saying, if high tide's at around about 20 to 8, I'll probably fish it 3 hours down. Fishing on here, normally 3 hours either side of low, it never really fishes, to be honest with you. Never found it to be a low tide venue, always found it to be over the top, up and over the top and down, so we'll see, but I'll come back to you in a little while and yeah, see if we can get a fish out. What can I say, so far it's been abysmal. Not gonna lie, got an hour until high tide now. All I've had so far is one tiny little pin whiting that, as I was bringing it in, it came up on the beach, dislodged, and the surf took it straight back. Didn't even see the bite from that. Not struggling to hold bottom. You know, the baits are coming back untouched. That's the worst thing about it. You know, it says to me that there's not much life out there at all. I'm going to sit it out, obviously, you know, see what happens on the turn of the tide, see if the ebb produces, but there is quite a lot of weed starting to come through as well, which is not great. You know, there's weed, there's bits of plastic, That northerly is churning that water up, it's pulling all the crap down with it. Normally it's southwesterlies around here that do that, but obviously the northerly has churned up some weed as well. Don't get me wrong, there's not absolutely shed loads, but there's loads of, well, say loads, there's a lot of stringy stuff and like I say, bits of plastic as well caught on the braid when I'm reeling it in. But we'll see. It has turned absolutely Baltic. The wind chill is absolutely insane. As you can probably tell, my nose is running. So like I say, sit it out, see what happens, see if I can pick something up on the turn of the tide. If not, I'm going to be calling this a day fairly soon, because if that ebb comes through, that ebb is going to come through a lot harder tide pull than the flood, and if that weed is in the water, that's going to become unfishable. But we'll see what happens. You never know, but I can honestly say this isn't one of my best ideas I've had recently. Well, of course, first fish of the night has to be tiny little whiting. Look at that. Not what I'm after, but the fish are here. They're starting to bite. It's coming up to high. I'm actually starting to see some bites on the rod. That just like tapped over, and then it swung right round and nearly come off the rest. But the reason for that is don't think anything was having a go at this. There was a plastic bag. It's what I say, there's a lot of plastic coming through. So I'm gonna have to keep fishing on, see if this plastic gets any worse, and if it does, then I'll be packing up early. But there you go, fish number one. Not what I'm looking for, but a fish is a fish to start off with. Well, the tide's turned, and with it, like I thought it would, it has brought with it a lot of weed, a lot of plastic. It's just dragging me out every time. So I've put this last cast out, well I say last cast, I've just put this cast out, see what happens with this one. And if I get choked up with weed and plastic again, I'm going to call it a night and take the long walk of shame home with just two white and one of which I didn't even get to touch. But we'll see. Like I say, this cast's out there, it's sitting pretty at the minute, not getting pulled out, not bouncing around, it is just sitting there. So we will see. But like I say, even if, you know, if I do call it a day in a minute, I'll come on and I'll obviously say to you, I'll end the video, tell you what's going on. But it's one of those things, it's fishing at the end of the day. The conditions look good on paper. You know, I checked XC, weather, checked the tides for fishing. Yes, I knew a northerly would put a lump in the sea, but that is what I was hoping for. But what I didn't account for was obviously all this weed, plastic rubbish. I mean, there's plastic bags, you're talking bits of plastic, which in a way is absolutely disgusting, because it shows you the amount of plastic in our seas, which, you know, it's not good. It's not good at all. To be fishing from the beach 80, 60, 70 yards out and you're getting wiped out with plastic, it shows you the amount of plastic in our seas, which, you know, for the future it is a massive worry. It really is. It is not good. Hopefully, as a collective, you know, the human race can do something about it, because it's disgusting. You know, it is not nice. It is not nice. But hey ho, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and you just, you know, we know we're killing the seas off. We're killing the planet. You know, I don't mean to be a downer on this, but it's not until you come fishing and you start catching all this plastic, yet again you realise how much crap there actually is floating around in our seas. But like I say, the cast's out, it's sitting pretty. Looks slightly slack, to be honest with you, so I'll tighten it up in a minute. And I'll come back in a little while and let you know exactly what is going on. That's me done. I've just reeled in that last cast. The ebb's kicking through, and with it, like I say, it's bringing so much crap, I'm not even going to bother trying to fish through it. It's just clogging up everything. So yeah, unfortunately, not the session that I was hoping for, not the session I predicted, but these things happen. You know, you can't take into account what's going to happen in the sea whilst you're fishing. The sea seems completely devoid of fish as well. Like I say, I think I had, what, 2 white and 1 fell off on the beach, and obviously I did manage to get one in and show you on camera. But it's the beginning of March, not going to come out with any excuses. Codling have been being caught around here, haven't heard of any from this area, so like I say, just thought I'd come and give it a go, and unfortunately it didn't go to plan. But that is the way fishing goes. I wasn't going to put this video up, but I've just been sitting here thinking, you know, I'm not just going to put up all the ones if I catch a fish or something like that. I'm going to put up the blank sessions as well. It's fishing, it's real, it's natural, it's raw. It is exactly what happens. So if you've got this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Give it a like, and if you really want to, you can subscribe to my channel as well. Doesn't cost a thing, and it just means that when I release new videos, they will come up on your YouTube and you'll be able to watch them without having to search for them. Thank you very much. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you by the water very soon.